Welcome to the Human 2 podcast, the podcast that investigates how we stay human and true to ourselves during challenging times in our professional lives, with a focus on the accountancy and finance profession. After all, accountants are human too. I'm Hannah, founder of Accountancy Hub and director of Human 2 Limited. I'm also an organisational culture consultant and an ICAW chartered accountant. Today I talked to Libby Walklett, aka the Ethical Bookkeeper. Libby qualified with AAT and went on to become a trustee of the accountancy body to shape the future of the organisation. Today, she is also a public speaker and has won numerous awards, including becoming a top 50 woman in accounting and an AAT CPD Champion of the Year. I've met Libby at a few accountancy events now, and she's always been so warm and welcoming, which I've always really appreciated, being someone new to the small business accountancy community. This year, I saw her dance and sing her way into her Accountex talk on the topic of being authentic on social media. If you're not following her, make sure that you do. In this episode, we talked about her early career, how she studied with the Open University to gain a degree in business studies and accounting, and then went on to become AAT qualified, setting up her own bookkeeping practice, which she named the Ethical Bookkeeper. Find out why later in the episode. From management accounts to Amdram, Libby has developed a kind and authentic business which is flexible around her caring commitments, hobbies, and family. Hope you enjoy this chat as much as I did. Hi, Libby, and welcome to the Human 2 podcast.
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me.
It's a pleasure to have you on. And you know what? The minute I knew you existed, I wanted you on the podcast, and I feel like we've eventually got round to getting you on here. I've seen you at a few events, we've had some chats, but you're a big name in the industry. Everyone seems to know you. So first question, can you just introduce yourself and give me a little potted history of your career?
Yes. So I'm Libby. I now run the Ethical Bookkeeper. I didn't start out in the industry at all. I started with a part-time job at my local newsagents. I think before that I'd done some car washing as well, you know, where you make your own leaflets by hand and deliver them round your road and hope that one of the neighbours takes pity on you. So you worked at local newsagent for, I think that was probably a good year or so. And then as soon as I turned 16, I went to work at a local restaurant, diner from a well-known brand. And I ended up working for them for 6 years. So I got promoted. I started part-time. I got promoted to supervisor. Then I got promoted to deputy manager. And then at the end of the 6 years, after yet another double shift and being asked to change my plans, pretty much handed my notice in on the spot, which I think at that point was probably 4 weeks, and I was owed 10 days holiday. So I wrote them a letter and said, my notice period finishes on X date. Yes, the 10 days holiday that I'm owed. So 2 weeks, bye-bye. And that was it. So I had a mortgage because I bought my house when I was 20.
Wow.
And I had no way really to pay the mortgage because I didn't have a job. So I found myself a little office job. I really wanted to do something different. I wanted to do 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, instead of the antisocial hours, weekends, evenings, early mornings. And it was quite a big drop in pay. And I was learning from scratch. Yeah, it was interesting. I really enjoyed it. There was something really, really rewarding about doing it. Job satisfaction, you know, seeing a job through from start to finish. Just got taught the basics, faxing, photocopying, filing, started doing a bit of sales ledger, processing sales orders into invoices on some ancient software. I think we were on Pegasus or Lotus, one of those two. And I think I worked there for a couple of years, really enjoyed it, did a customer service little qualification, and then kind of just went from there, really, went on from one job to another. And I didn't get qualified until fairly recently. So I was qualified by experience rather than having the having any letters to my name. And that then held me back. So I started a degree with the Open University in 2010. In 2014, I started AAT and I finished that in 2016. So
Oh,
relatively late.
yeah. And what was your degree in? What did you do at the Open University?
I did business studies with accounting because they didn't have a pure accounting degree. So it was as close as I could get.
Yeah.
Did quite a lot of strategy, management accounts, financial accounts, then some marketing. There was a problem solving one. There was a personal finance course that I was delighted to get a distinction on and get a personal letter sent to me, which was really nice. But it opened up, I think between the two of them, they opened up a lot of doors for me and changed my mindset. So
Mm,
that was quite a big deal at that point, because though I'd got the experience and a lot of experience, there's nothing like understanding the basics and having the confidence to know that you're doing your job properly and you really understand what you're doing in finance. Yeah. Very, very different start to where I am now.
yeah, really interesting. And um, I mean, it's a bit like my mum actually. Well, she's a journalist. She's in a completely different industry, but she worked for 5 or 6 years before she realized that she needed to get a qualification, go to university. Everyone that was coming in was more qualified than her, even though she'd been there 6 years and knew everything, back to front. So, a bit later she went to university. But so did you study AAT while you were still working full time?
No, I did the AAT and the degree simultaneously.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
there were obviously some similarities between the two courses that was helpful, but I was renovating a property, and I was caring. So the girls were, I think, 4 and 6 when I started the degree, and my dad had dementia, my mum was disabled, and my husband had some health conditions going on as well.
Gosh.
So I had a combination of things. In many ways, I wish I had been working, particularly for the degree, because I
Mm,
found that a lot of the work that I had to do, I could have applied it if I'd been working. And that makes it easier to digest and easier to understand.
mm,
And it would have helped as well. So sometimes we would have to do a case study and you would base it on a job that you're doing now. So I would have to go back to a job that I'd had previously. And actually I did find that quite difficult. In many ways, I would love to do it again, to have those opportunities that I didn't have at that point. And it was really difficult juggling things because the degree was for me and the AAT was for me, and everything else I did was for everybody else. It was, the caring roles, it was looking after other people. And
mm,
as you'll be well aware, we're very good at putting other people's needs before our own. So
mhm.
my stuff would get pushed back. So I was the one that was still trying to finish a module at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
um, and struggling to get it all done. I'm glad I
Wow.
did it, but it was hard. It was
Yeah.
hard.
It sounds like it, and a huge achievement. How did you manage to do it? How did you juggle it? Was it late nights working, early morning working?
So, although mum was disabled, or is disabled, she only lived 5 doors away from us. So she struggled physically, but she was at home all the time. So she could have the girls round during the day sometimes. And sometimes, particularly if we were doing renovation on the house, the girls would sleep there. So I'd go round, put them to sleep, come back, work into the night. Um, and then it was just whatever nursery time they had. So because I wasn't working, because my husband was at that point, I think he'd been retired off due to ill health. So money was quite tight, so we couldn't afford extra childcare. So whatever hours we had at preschool, and then I think at that point the eldest was at primary school. When they were out, so the minute we'd got them off to school, it was come back, get on with some, some of the house, the building works, the decorating, the plumbing, the electrics, the tiling, everything. Or it was getting some of the degree work done. So it was a real juggle. No holidays, no weekends off. It was just kind of constantly just get on with it. I'm just determined to do the best I can. I'm very resilient now, I think. Um, and just never give up, however hard it is. And actually, all of those things have benefited me in the long run. I'm tough,
can
and
tell.
thank
I
goodness
can
I
tell.
am.
Yeah. I mean, that resilience has got you through and that determination. So what happened once you were qualified? What happened then?
Um, I well, it had been quite weird actually because in 2007, um, our youngest daughter was she wasn't even one, and we moved across the country, and I was looking after the girls for a while at home, and when I wanted to get back into work, I really struggled to get anything. So recruitment agencies would say, "Oh no, you've got no qualifications." So even though I'd got a wealth of experience, um, I was very capable. I'd been doing 92 sets of management accounts a year for 7 different limited companies owned by the same group. Same amount of payroll, so 4 weekly payroll, 4 weekly management accounts, year-end work with the auditors. I'd had a huge amount of experience, but the recruitment agencies weren't interested. They just wanted qualifications. I found that really, really quite depressing, to be fair. But I just didn't have a chance. I didn't have an opportunity, and it was going to hold me back. I did manage to get some interviews, and then what I found was either they they thought that I was overqualified because of the experience I had, and therefore I would be bored, or it would be back to the lack of qualifications again. So I knew that I had to make a decision to to just push myself forward. And at that point, there was no funding available for AAT, so I got funding for the degree to start with, and then 2 years later, I took out an adult learner loan, and that covered the cost of AAT.
Wow. And then what happened once you were qualified, once you had that? Did you find getting a role easier or what happened?
That was also quite peculiar. So the first thing that happened was that my tutor saw something in me and tried to persuade me to start teaching, well, to start shadowing her at the college I was studying at, which felt quite uncomfortable. I mulled over the idea and then dismissed it.
Yeah.
And then a few months later, she found another job opportunity for a tutor at uh, my now local college, um, and said, "You should go for it." And I thought she was mad, because I'd never done anything like that. I'd never taught before. Uh, and I applied and was offered the job. so, so
Amazing.
that was actually
You qualified by this point, or were you still?
it was a
Yeah.
so I started teaching the week after I completed level 4. So
Wow.
yeah, it's been a crazy journey.
Yeah.
It really has. So I came home from my first class, and I think I sobbed at the kitchen table for an hour because I didn't think I could do it. I didn't think I was good enough. I ran out of material. I didn't always know what to say.
Yeah.
And then a week later, I pulled myself together enough to go and do it again. And none of the students would have realized that there was anything wrong. And then eventually I did it for I think it was about a year and a half, and I got above average results and above average retention. So
Amazing.
I was really delighted at that. I was really proud. And there is something so wonderful about seeing your students succeed. The ones that find it really, really difficult, that need that extra support, I was always try to be there for them, to try and find alternative, what learning style suits them. Just
Yeah.
and it wasn't just about teaching either in my classes. So I would take cake, I would take biscuits. We would have competitions where I'd take prizes, and they could go home and have the books and learn from the books. You don't need to go to a class if you don't want to. So having them in class is an opportunity for them to bond with each other and work on their communication skills, even if they don't realize that that's what I'm doing to them, but also to try to get them to open up a bit more about what's difficult, to talk about life skills, to talk about these study skills, because that is so rarely mentioned. It's just all academic
Yes.
work. It's, I'm going to
100%.
teach you this and you're going to practice, and then you're going to hopefully leave early because that's what you want to go and do. You want to go home and watch Netflix or play a computer game, whatever. It's such a wonderful opportunity to have those people in a room together, because any job that you're in, you have to work with other people. So the communication skills, getting to know other people, are so important.
Yeah.
And if they feel that it's a safe space as well, then they've got that opportunity to open up and talk about things that they find difficult. So that was the first thing that I had to get me back into work at that point. And then a year and a half after that, although I really enjoyed the teaching, I missed being behind a desk, just doing the bookkeeping and management accounts and, the day to day, being part of a team. And I found a local job and went for an interview. It was full time, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5:30. In theory, I could walk there, but I've only got little legs. And when I had the interview, my then or my line manager had also got an Open University degree, and that was what made the difference. Weirdly, it wasn't about all the experience. It wasn't even about AAT on that occasion, though it was useful. It was the fact that we both understood how hard it was to get a degree with the Open University. Now, any degree is hard, but with the Open University, you are sent the books in the post and basically you get on with it. So you have support, you have online tutorials, and we were at that point, I don't know if it's changed now, we had face-to-face tutorials, but it might only be 3 in 6 months. And
Mm,
it is really tough to keep going, to find the
yeah.
motivation to be able to study, and life gets in the way and your confidence gets in the way. You're not seeing people on a weekly basis and doing that. Oh my God, I'm really struggling with this. I don't know how to do it. I don't understand it. How did you tackle it? Have you found, and you all help each other. So there was none of that. Even in terms of the online community, the Open University forums I found quite formal, and I was looking for something a bit more relaxed, a bit more casual, where I felt a bit more supported and a bit safe. Sometimes in these forums, it would also feel very academic, and
Mm,
I would feel stupid posting question or asking something, or if you were first to post,
yeah.
that would feel quite a scary thing. What if I've completely misunderstood it? What if my language skills are not good enough?
Mm,
So I was always looking for that slightly more casual approach to learning. And actually what I did was find my own community of people doing the same courses. And I've stayed friends with some of them ever since. Um,
amazing. How did you find them then? How did you find your people?
Facebook groups to start with, and we would kind of go off. So there were a lot of Open University Facebook groups. So eventually I found some really good people. So uh, 3 of my favourite friends, Anne, Laura, and Alison. And me and Anne particularly used to wind each other up about Michael Porter. So we did a lot of studying of Michael Porter, to the point that I think both of us had woken up dreaming about him.
Who's Michael Porter?
Michael Porter's 5 Forces. Have you done 5 Forces in management accounts?
Yeah, oh, Porter's Five Forces. Yeah, I didn't know he was called Michael. I only knew the Porter bit.
Yes. Yeah, yeah. So They are. I bet you've woken up dreaming about him as well. So, so we used to wind each other up about it, and it just became this hilarious joke. And then when we met in person because she had two children and they were younger than my children, and we went to Alton Towers together, and she took my girls on Oblivion for their first time because I didn't want to go on. Um, then to find to start a degree with the Open University, to get from there to the fact that you're at Alton Towers and somebody's taking your kids on a ride, and
Amazing.
it seems absolutely incredible. It was the last thing I expected to happen. And then when we got to the end of our degrees, we've also both of our surnames start with W as well. So I wanted to go. I had a few places I wanted to go in graduation ceremony. One was Ely Cathedral. Um, and she said she was going to the Symphony Hall in Birmingham, which wasn't too far from me. It's an hour and a half max. And I had a look and I thought, well, actually, it does look really nice. So we ended up going together. And because of the W's, we were sat pretty much together.
That's so nice.
Um, and then about probably 3-4 months after that, we found out she'd got cancer, and it was really aggressive. And then I can't remember now, 6 months or a year, she'd gone. She'd gone.
No.
And I was asked to go and speak at an Open University conference, student conference. Very, very honoured to be asked to do that. And I had the whole room crying over that because I said that getting the qualifications is wonderful. It will change your life. But if she'd known what was coming, would she have given up that much time with her children and her family? Would she have put as much into it as she did? And keeping the balance is so crucial.
Yeah.
You never know what's going to
You never know what's
happen.
going to happen.
So don't stop your life.
Yeah.
Still do the things that bring you joy. Still be with your family. Still have fun. Don't plow everything into your studies. Take a step back every so often. Have a look. If you need to have a breather and give yourself 6 months off, then do it, because
Yeah.
you just never know. Um, it's heartbreaking.
And it's a marathon, not a sprint. It's over a number of years, and you don't want to hate your life for, 2 to 5 years. So, how can, as you said, you never know what's around the corner. How can you make it work for you so it's not something you end up hating? Do you know what I mean? Why are you doing it in the first place? Is it because you want to set up your own business? Is it because of the earning potential? Focus on that, but don't give up everything for it. Uh,
I think that was why when we first spoke, I was so interested in, you know, potentially connecting with you in some way for future purposes, because we share the same values,
we
and
do.
it's so important that we keep that balance and we talk about it as well. People really struggle, and many people won't talk about it. They see it as a sign of weakness, and I don't. I see it as strength. It's so important, and we have to normalize it. And that will only happen if we talk about it. So to find somebody else that has similar
Mm,
values is
yeah,
everything. I seem to be, because I talk about things like this, and I do talk very openly about mental health if I can. I seem to be attracting people that are like me, and that's wonderful because it means that my community it, um, is the most fantastic space, full of
yeah,
kind people, full of passionate
yeah,
people, full of
yeah.
understanding and empathetic people, and we're all there supporting each other and helping each other. So, long may it continue. I want to carry on like this.
100%. And, we do have different backgrounds. I've done a different qualifications, and there's a lot of shame, as you said, there's shame around it. If you fail exams, you're in a very high pressure environment, and it's not easy. And I struggled with my own mental health, but I also saw it in so many other people who were 18 to 21 years old. And I didn't feel like the awarding bodies, the firms we were working in, the training providers really understood what people go through. And it's that study planning thing as well. There wasn't any talk around how to make your life work, how to look after your mental health. It was just, have you got the technique right? And do the technical knowledge?
I think that's why I love AAT as well, because we are less formal, we are more friendly. It's interesting how whether there's a connection with male-dominated industries. I was at hospital yesterday with my husband, and a doctor came over and was quite maybe slightly verging on arrogant. And I questioned him a lot. I had a lot of questions that I wanted to get off my chest, and I was not about to give him an easy time. And at one point, he referred to my husband and me as stakeholders.
Oh my
Now,
God.
I mean, it's, great technical term there, stakeholder, but it's dehumanizing. At what point are we not
You're a human being.
family, humans, people,
Hmm.
stakeholders? I was really offended, and I'm going to hold on to that for a long time.
Yeah.
Whether it is part of how they get through their job,
Yeah.
because if you're too empathetic to everybody, could you even get out of bed in the morning and go and do your job? I
Yeah.
think that would
You've
be
got
very
people
difficult.
open. Yeah.
But the minute that you remove the human element from all of this, you forget how much it matters to people. You forget how hard this is. It's people's lives we're talking about.
Yeah.
And it's, I felt like I should have said something to
Yeah.
him. But so
Almost.
the more humanity we can bring in, I do think it's just a case of having these conversations and talking,
Definitely.
the people matter, and these skills are so important, particularly with our industry as well. The more we rely on AI and the software and the technology, the more crucial the people skills are. The communication with clients. It isn't necessarily, say, a lack of cash flow that brings the business down. It's the person that caused the lack of cash flow that brings the business down. There always seems to be a reason behind it.
Mm.
So more often than not, that's down to communicating with with the business owners or with the people that work within the business. So you can't remove yourself from the day-to-day running of the business. We need to bring that human element in more. So that comes down to communication. And I think that that's something that's harder for the younger generation as well, because they're not used to face-to-face contact, to speaking to people, to making eye contact, and nobody teaches them these things either. It's
No.
it's not it's not discussed. We just assume that everybody can do it because we can do it, and it's
Yeah.
hard. It's really
It is
difficult. I
hard.
can even and to not forget how difficult it is as well. Not to get to the point where you're so arrogant that you forget what it was like when you learned. I can remember being terrified of answering the telephone in jobs. And they would, you'd have a job and you'd sit beside somebody for a couple of days, and then they'd say, "You answer the phone now." Like, oh God, I don't know. I can't. Could we wait till next week? I don't know what to say. Or
Yeah,
answering it really,
totally.
really quietly because you don't want anyone in the office to hear
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
That
I hated that
confidence.
every time. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah. And as soon as you remember that, those feelings, they come back to you. You remember how that felt. And so then you're able to understand, okay, that's fine. They're going to have to do it one day. So what approach do we go for? Do we just throw them in at the deep end and let them suffer a bit and then, see how they get on? Or are we going to give them some support and gradually build up to it and are we going to be a bit kinder to them? I was appointed to the AAT board a few years ago as well. Also something terrifying that I did not see my life heading in that direction. And so the first meeting felt scary, but actually once I was in there and I could see how it worked and how open and inclusive everything was,
Mm,
it wasn't as bad as I'd built it up to be in my head. But if you've got years and years and years of building these things up and never having those opportunities to see what they're like, then they are going to be huge mountains to you,
yeah,
when actually the reality is maybe it's not as bad as you think. And just to have those opportunities brought in at an earlier stage of your career might give you, it might just help with your confidence, with your overall development. You might end up doing things that you didn't expect to do because you've been given those opportunities.
definitely. Well, I'm really apprehensive about next week because there are 99 members of council. I don't understand how a meeting works when it's that large.
Is that face to face?
Yeah, face to face.
Must be like herding cats.
Honestly, and it's like if I want to make a point, I've got to say it in front of 100 people, and that's not easy. So, yeah, I'm pushing myself out of my comfort zone here. It's not something I love, speaking in front of lots of people. I was on a panel at Account X, and that was me really putting myself out there. I went to your talk, absolutely loved it, and we're going to have to talk about that soon. But
Can I give
I'm
you
going
some
to.
tips?
Oh, yeah, please do. Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
so here's a couple of tips that I found really helped me. If you're feeling like that, and there are other new people, they probably feel like that too, for starters. It's their job to make sure that you feel comfortable and you're able to speak up. When you don't understand something or it's not your area of expertise, that's fine. And when you do find something that you really understand and you're passionate about, and speak up and don't care what anybody else thinks about you. So I make myself quite vulnerable regularly. And one of the things I talked about was, because a lot of the people on boards are further into their careers, they've been very successful, which has allowed them to give this time back. And the chances are that they're going to be quite well off. That's certainly my perception of it from what I've seen. And they forget that other people are struggling for money and other people might be at the start of their careers. So one of the things that we talked about was membership fees and license fees. And I know for a fact that there are stay-at-home mums, carers, people working part-time who want a license, so they have to pay the membership fee and the license fee, and they're really struggling. And maybe they've only got a couple of clients and it's just a little bit of part-time work, but
Mm,
they're having to fork out quite a lot of money for this. And it was really important that I was the one to say, I think we need to keep any price increases as low as possible. And we've managed to achieve that. And we've got more bursaries as well. I wanted low cost or free CPD as well. One of the conversations that I've had with an accountant was, um, any accountant that doesn't have £300 to put towards CPD, should they even be an accountant? And I literally had to pick my jaw up off the floor. And I justified it. I don't have £300, or I didn't have £300 to spend on CPD at that point. And if I had to choose, that's not where the money would go. Why can't I find plenty of free CPD? There is loads of it out there. And he did stop, and he caught himself and came back to me afterwards and said, I've been thinking about that conversation we had since then. And he said, I'm so out of touch
mm,
that I just assumed that everybody would have that sort of money to spend.
yeah.
And I'm
No.
really glad, I'm really proud of myself for saying it. And it's not the first time I've done it on more than one occasion. And somebody has got to say it. And if you're in a room full of people and nobody else is going to speak up, so for you, it could be talking about mental health, and it could be about, more study support. You will find something that you're so passionate about, that you want to talk about, and that you'll literally have to sit on your hands not to say something and jump up and down. That's your point. That's the time that you get up and you say something and you make a
Yeah,
difference.
you're right. You're totally right. And y- you know, as you say, a lot of people in that room are going to be very wealthy. We've already had an induction call, and most of the people were retired. So I'm not retired. I'm working full time. I'm earning the lowest I've ever earned in my entire life. So I'm going to be in that room bringing the whole average income of chartered accountants down because I've started a new business and I do freelance work and contract work. So I'm in a completely different situation to most of the people there who have been partners of firms and are now, you know, retired on a huge pension, I expect. So yeah, there are definitely different perspectives I can bring, which I guess is the whole point, isn't it, of having these discussions, having different people in the room who bring unique perspectives.
You've got a wonderful opportunity, and so don't waste it, and let that be the thing that makes you brave enough to speak up. And it might be that it's 3 or 4 meetings in,
Yeah,
but they do, if they don't increase the diversity of the board, then
yeah,
they are going to struggle. And I think there comes a point when if they're not prepared to change, and if you're not able to make yourself heard, at that point,
mm,
do you say, I can't do this anymore, I'm going to go somewhere else? It's ethics, isn't it? It's being strong, it's doing the right thing when
in
no
that
one's
situation.
looking.
Yeah,
And if you get to this point, you think, I can't work with you anymore because you're not prepared to change, you don't want to change. If that happens, where can you do the most good?
yeah. I mean, this is why Accountancy Hub supports all qualifications because, it doesn't matter which qualification you're studying. It's hard because you're studying to be an accountant and you're normally sort of working at the same time and you're trying to have a family life and a personal life and there's so much going on. Initially, I was just going to support ICAW accountants and that's it. But then I realized everything that I wanted to do, it's agnostic to the qualification, really. It's well-being, it's inclusion, it's study skills, it's professional skills. Um, so yeah, it'll be interesting and I'll keep you in the loop. Um, but I'm going to have to talk to you about why you're called the ethical bookkeeper, Libby. Why are you called the ethical bookkeeper?
So
And also, why did you set up your own business?
right. So first of all, I was called Stressless Bookkeeping Services, which first of all was quite a mouthful if you answered the phone. And
Yeah,
then I did that for a couple of years, but I only had one client because I was still working and I was doing a lot of stuff in the background. I was learning about what it meant to run your own practice. And I had an industry background, not a practice background. So it's been a huge learning curve for me. Don't underestimate how hard it is. It is incredibly tough. And then a couple of years in, the name didn't really mean anything to me. It was just what would be a good name for a bookkeeping company. So even though I'm an accountant, what I like is management accounts and the bookkeeping end of things. I don't like year-end compliance. And I was really worried that if I put the name accountant or accounting into my business name, that I would just get year-end work that I, you know, didn't want to do and wasn't really comfortable with.
yeah,
So that's why it became bookkeeping company. And also there's this whole the whole industry, we all say, I'm just a bookkeeper. And I really don't want to do that. And I don't want other bookkeepers to do it. It is such a skilled job. And it involves a lot of peopling as well. So,
yeah.
we really shouldn't underestimate how important the job is of being a bookkeeper. We are awesome. I'm here to stand up for all bookkeepers.
Love it.
Um, so that was the initial reason. So I still am a bit loath to put accounting or accountants or anything on my business name. And everybody knows me as the ethical bookkeeper now. So it would be hard to change it if I wanted to.
Well, why did you choose the word ethical? So you went from stress to ethical.
Yes. So having spent sort of 2 years lurking around various Facebook groups, I saw all the disgusting and despicable client behavior and thought, oh my God, I don't want clients like that. What if I grow and, the next person is coming around beating my door down, telling me I've done something wrong and I should pay their fine for them? I don't know. I have heard so many horror stories about difficult clients. So I went along to a local web designer and I said, I had this like light bulb moment. I had 3 free sessions with a business coach through a local initiative. And we were kind of trying to look at getting, having a new name, but I wasn't quite sure what I wanted. So I literally sat at home and I had this light bulb moment. I wanted an invisible force field that would keep out dodgy clients. That was the initial thought. Went to the web designer. He said, "Oh, it might put people off potentially." And I said, "Don't mind it. I don't want to work with those people. I want it to put those people off." And he was like, "What about the friendly bookkeeper?" Don't know. They might think that I'm too soft. So we went with the ethical bookkeeper, and actually, because of my other values, it's grown. So we did the prompt payment code, which is now the fair payment code. So we've got gold standard in that. We've got the good business charter as well. So I want to support, if I can, local people that would have difficulty in working a 9 to 5 Monday to Friday, because I've experienced that and I couldn't find what I wanted. So to provide um, mainly remote working, but I would still prefer people to be local, because how do you meet up for cake and coffee, if they're not local? And predominantly women if I can, but anybody that's, struggled with caring responsibilities that needs that flexibility. I'm working very flexibly at the moment. That shouldn't prevent me from having a career. And that's what's happened. So I want to give those opportunities to other people. We're
Yeah.
also trying to do what we can for sustainability. It's a journey. It's a slow journey. It's time consuming. It's sometimes expensive. So we use Octopus Energy, who are green energy supplier, but we also try to cut back on gas and electricity as much as possible. We try to recycle as much as possible. I'm selling stuff on Vinted and buying some bits on Vinted as well. We donate stuff to charity a lot, and we quite often have a mooch around the charity shops as well, and pick up bits there. So we are doing what we can in as many different ways as possible.
You're doing a
But
marvelous,
we're
marvelous.
not perfect. It's a work in progress, but and it's also about treating people in the right way. So really looking after the humans, if you like, that we work with. That's so important. We have had a couple of neurodiverse clients. So and one of my daughters is autistic as well. We think the other one's got ADHD. It's a cliche, isn't it, saying a journey, but it feels like that.
How long have you been running as the ethical bookkeeper?
I think it is about 5 years now, 4 or 5 years, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, a good old time. And then before that, it was under a different name, but you were
Yeah,
still
yeah,
full time.
stressless bookkeeping services. Yeah.
So in total, how long have you been sort of running your own business?
It's got to be about 6 years. That's
Wow.
incredible, isn't it? I need to get some dates together. I probably should do that and have a little mini celebration. That would be nice,
You
wouldn't it?
should, yeah.
We're so busy looking forward. We don't always look to see where
Yeah.
we've come
And see
from.
what you've achieved.
I mean, on that note as well, it feels very uncomfortable blowing your own trumpet, doing your own marketing, and entering or being entered by people for awards. But I have reconciled myself with that, because it's a brilliant opportunity to look back over the last year and say, right, what have I actually done in the last year? Because chances are you'll be absolutely staggered by the amount that you have
Mm.
achieved. It's always still a bit cringy, isn't it? Like entering yourself on board and telling everybody, "Oh, look at me, I'm amazing." But it never feels like that. It's like, oh, I don't know. Last year, I got into the global top 50 women in accounting.
Yes, I saw that.
Well, so first of all, it was somebody that I love to bits and very, very much admire that put my name forward. And I was very humbled when I found out it was her. And I looked at it 2 or 3 times. I went to do that application and it was huge. So the amount of people that are nominated compared to the amount of people that actually apply,
Mm.
it was a fraction, because it's really tough and they want hard evidence. They want you to prove stuff. I looked at the application, thought, no, I can't do it. I haven't done anything. I haven't got enough. Yeah. Oh, it was really sweet of her to nominate me. And then I looked again, and then I looked again, and I thought, maybe I yeah, maybe I've got a few things. Yeah, I suppose I could put that in. Oh, I could put that in as well. I hadn't thought of that. And then the next time I went for it, and I think I spent about, I mean, it was 8 or 10 hours I spent on that application. But by the time I got to the end of it, I thought, oh my God, yeah, I did do a lot.
And you
I'm quite
won.
deserving of this.
Became a global top 50 woman in
Yeah,
accounting. That's
yeah,
amazing.
mind blowing. And then after that, I got the top 100 female entrepreneurs as well with Small Business Britain. Another one that I thought absolutely no chance. And then the next thing, I'm going to the House of Lords. It's nuts. It's nuts. And
Incredible.
it's,
What
yeah.
what were you doing at the House of Lords?
Sorry,
What were you doing at the House of Lords?
drinking. It was our celebration of the new cohort. There was some talks. We had some nibbles, and then got to chat with other business owners afterwards. And it's a real pinch me moment.
Mm,
I mean, what amazing people I'm getting to hang out with. It's incredible. And like I said earlier, it doesn't do it on its own. It's you you have to push for these opportunities. And you talked about being on the panel this year at
mm.
Accountex.
Yeah.
So about 2.5 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, um, Joe Wood and Zoe Whitman, Six Figure Bookkeeper, they asked me to do their podcast. I think that was the first thing I'd done. I was terrified. I did it. Then I was at an ICB summit. Zoe sat me on a chair opposite her and stuck a microphone in my face and said, who are you and who do you work with? Hello, I'm the ethical bookkeeper. I work with nice people. Who cares? Um,
And
and
now
then
you had your own talk at Accountex,
yes,
just you.
exactly. But then, but the time after that, I was on a panel, which was also that was with Zoe as well. Those girls have actually given me so many opportunities over the years. It's been awesome, and now I feel like I don't need the baby reins on anymore. I've gone off on my own. And then last year, I hosted a panel. So I put it together. I put the idea together. I sent it into Accountex, and I hosted the panel about accountants and bookkeepers working together.
Wow.
And then this year, I had a stage to myself where I had Chris Downing from Sage introducing me, and all my Trebecks handed out. And there
And
were,
you danced in and you
yeah,
sang. It was the best thing I've ever seen. It was
I
brilliant.
do it because I didn't think anybody would ever have done it before. I think that was probably it. It wasn't,
But for the listeners, the talk was on being authentic on social media and how that can boost your business. So, you came in as your fully authentic self and it was brilliant. And we all ate delicious cake. What
yeah,
could be better? After we're over an hour, so I'm going to have to
get
ask
rid of me.
the final few questions.
Go, go, go.
So, first of all, what makes you human?
I think I'm quite empathetic. And I try to remember how it all started so that I can relate to other people because we're so bad at doing that. So we think that things are easy and they're not always. I think that's really important.
What would you say to your younger self if you could go back in time and speak to your teenager self? What would you say?
Say, go and find a counsellor and get more confidence. That's probably what's held me back, and probably what would continue to hold me back is confidence.
You know what? I would never say that you weren't a confident person. I saw you dance into a talk, sing, and then do, an incredible confident pitch to everyone. So that's a shock to me that you're not a confident person.
Yes, funny that, isn't it? I worry too much, and I feel like I always need somebody in the background pushing me. So if you put a bet on something, if it was a competition, or if I said, "Oh, do you think I should do this thing?" and you went, "Yeah, go on then, and I'll do it." But if it's me, I'll go like, "No, I shouldn't do it. I'm not good enough. I shouldn't be doing that." Imposter syndrome.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I'm getting better, and I'm okay with it all. But if I could go back to that age and change it then, I think my whole life would have changed.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I fully relate to that. I've never been very confident. As I'm getting older, I'm getting more confident and just giving less shits about what people think, but it's still very difficult because I do. I just care. I just care.
Yeah, but actually, but then we have to stop caring what people think about us as much as well, and we do it because if you're helping one person, then that's enough. It should be enough. Um, but also talking about it openly, because, like you say, if you didn't, if you just looked at me, you think I was extremely confident. But to understand that I'm not always that confident. I'm confident in some things and less in others. But if you understand that, then you can you know that it's achievable for you as well.
What does the future hold for Libby and the ethical bookkeeper?
Oh, it's so difficult at the moment because of all the health issues in the family. I would like to think that at some point I'll have a bit more time to enjoy my hobbies. So I'd like to do a bit more gardening. I'd like to get back to a bit of um, decorating, bit of renovation, maybe. I reckon I've got one more house renovation in me potentially.
Is that of your own house?
It won't be this one. It'll be if I move, I can do one more rundown property. I reckon maybe
Amazing. Is
see
that
how
what
my
you've
back
done?
goes.
Have you done a lot of that in the past, buying a
Yeah,
sort of
loads.
property quite run down and doing it up?
Yep, yep. All of them have been. Yeah, I can talk to you about that at some point if you want. So yeah, self-taught, and my dad passed down some skills as well. So I love that. Haven't done that for a while. Haven't done much gardening. I've got an audition tonight for a play.
Wow, good luck. What's the role?
There's three parts I'm going to go for, which is more than normal, but it's an Alan Ayckbourn play called Table Manners, and there's
Okay.
three women in it. So it's only six people, and
Yeah.
all three female parts could work for me.
Love this. And when do you find the time to rehearse and
Um,
do it?
so it's normally 2 evenings a week
Okay.
for about 5 months. Um, yeah, it's really
And
difficult to fit it
how
in.
important is it for you to have a hobby like that that, you love?
It's crucial, really. Um, Running business is really hard. Um, you get so involved in it that you forget to look anywhere else. All Certainly running this business, all my time is spent on it. My friends are in the business, so my best friends. So my family don't understand. They're getting there. It's getting better, but they didn't understand. In fact, one of my daughters said to me on more than one occasion, "I don't know why you bother running this business. You're not making any money." Thanks, family. Love you.
You
But
don't get it though. I didn't get it when my mum was working either. Yeah.
don't understand. And it's your values, isn't it? It's
Mm,
creating something that works for you. That maybe you've been let down in the past working for big businesses, for corporates.
yeah.
Um, it it there's more to it than the money. I'm not here to make a fortune. So to be able to step out to that completely and do something that is so different is really important. And being on stage means that I'm playing different people. So I'm out of my normal. You can't half do that.
No.
You can't be like, half of your brain's like, oh, I must finish that reconciliation. I need to get in touch with that, and I got 3 VAT returns to submit by next week or whatever. You can't half do it. You have to be immersed in it. You're mixing with different people. And what I love about Amdram is that you get people from all different walks of life, but you just never know who you're going to mix with.
Yeah.
You can have anybody can come and do Amdram. If you can act, if you've got two legs, and even if you've got one leg, we have had somebody that did have one leg. Um, if you can act or sing or dance a bit or whatever. And suddenly, instead of being in this land of bookkeeping and
Yeah,
accountancy
in a bubble.
24/7, you just like, it's a different world.
Yeah.
So, and it's, there are those connections as well to the business as well, because again, it's down to communication. Because what I've done is learn to communicate with a variety of people, with a variety of backgrounds. So they can come from anywhere. So some of them will be really intelligent, top of their game, incredible careers. Some of them will be, less, maybe not as good at communicating, but they still love to perform. And I would talk to all of them, different ages, different hobbies. There've been some incredible people over the years that and people that I've become friends with that I wouldn't necessarily have expected to become friends with, because I would never have met them in any other way apart
Mm.
from doing Andram.
Uh,
So that has actually helped me now with the business, because it means that I can communicate with people at all different levels.
yeah. I mean, that's an amazing argument for having a passion or a hobby outside of work, meeting new people, building your communication skills. And with remote working now and spending a lot of time at home looking at a laptop screen, I mean, this is why I go to a co working office a few days a week, even though they're doing completely different things that are nothing like what I'm doing. But I like that because it gets me out the house, speaking to new people. And unlike you, I don't really have a community at the moment. I mean, I do through this podcast, but, you know, it's not like I have an accountancy practice. I'm not doing anything really that anyone's done before. And I'm not a training provider. I'm not an awarding body, an accountant, but I'm not actually being an accountant at the moment. So I'm in a really weird stage. So I need that co working space. And I don't really have a hobby that's quite like yours. I play the guitar. I love TV. Actually, I love interior design. That is something I'm super passionate about. And one day I would love to buy a house and do it up and make it amazing. One day.
You can talk about that.
Okay. I'll give you a call. Well, thank you so much for being on the Human 2 podcast. It's been a delight to speak to you and get to know you more. And I love everything that you stand for. I love that you're called the Ethical Bookkeeper. You're super true to your values, which is so important, particularly in this industry where, let's face it, people's businesses rely on us being ethical and having integrity and all those things. And it's everything you're about. Love it, love it, love it, love it. And thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you for inviting me. It's been an absolute treat. I probably could have talked for another couple of hours as well.
Well, you know what? We will. We just won't press record.